I'm going to use Claude Code to show how we extract values from PDFs of financial reports. Here's an example of a financial report. It's an annual report from Merck. It has over 500 pages and it's full of tables, text, and pictures. We're going to extract specific values. So from the balance sheet, we want certain values, same from income statement and cash flow statement. And we're going to have Claude Code do it for us. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a golden set. So someone will have to go manually through the PDFs, through, in our case, 5 PDFs, and extract the correct numbers. And then store them somewhere. In our case, it's going to be a file called eval.yaml. It's a very simple file for Merck. We want the following values, and the correct values are shown here. Then we'll need to think of a high-level approach to solving the problem. We probably don't want to work with PDFs directly. We want to convert them to Markdown, and I'm not going to focus on that for this talk, but you can do that by leveraging LLMs or tools like Marker. So we already have the Markdown for those PDFs, and the files are in the files folder, and in particular Markdown is here. It looks like this, and it's a pretty big file, 17,000 lines. Then we're going to think through the solution. We'll probably want to leverage LLM to actually extract numbers from Markdown, and in order for Claude to be able to do that, we need to provide Claude a way of doing this. And then we'll have Claude implement the solution, and crucially, we'll have it compare the numbers it got to the numbers in the golden set, iterate to fix any mistakes until it gets hopefully a perfect score. So we mentioned that we want Claude to be able to use an LLM, and we're going to create a skill that lets Claude do that. But we're going to ask Claude to help us create that skill. So I'm just going to copy this prompt, create a skill, and I have a reference to what skills are that allows invoking an OpenAI LLM in Azure, and I have already prepared the API key in the .env file. Then I want to call the skill ask LLM. So let's take this, go into Claude, and I'm gonna go back to the main directory. I'll start Claude here. We're going to dangerously skip permissions just to make it more fun. So I'm gonna paste the skill, the prompt for creating the skill, and we're gonna wait for Claude to do this. It's gonna take about a minute. And now we have the Ask LLM skill. We can take a look at what it is. It would be under Claude, under skills, and this is our Ask LLM skill. Let's see what it is. So it provides the name, the description, and it created a helper script that would call the model in OpenAI, and it will pass it the prompt. So the script is here, by the way, and looks like this, and it's picking up the API keys from that env file, and it's just essentially passing the prompt to the OpenAI model in Azure. Now let's move on to the second step. Now that we have this skill, we can instruct Claude to actually help us with the task at hand. Let's see how we may do that. We're gonna tell it to write a Python script, and I'll call it extract.py to extract specific values that I mentioned below from the markdown files that live under files directory. And we'll just explain that the files contain text extracted from annual reports of public companies, and that there is the Ask LLM skill that helps you extract data from markdown files, and you need to pass the right prompt to it. There is also the golden set eval.yaml, and the idea is to compare the numbers you get from the solution you create with the numbers in the eval, and then report the percentage of the numbers extracted correctly, and then iterate, analyze the mismatches, update the code to fix the mismatches, and specifically update the prompt for extracting the numbers, but then make sure that the solution remains generic. So we don't want something that overfits to this particular eval. And then, yeah, we just mentioned the values that need to be extracted. So let's take this prompt. Let's go into Claude and let's paste it there. Okay, so now Claude is done after about 6.5 minutes, and it got to a perfect score, got all of the 60 values that I mentioned in the eval file right, and it summarized its design choices. It splits, so some of the files are very large, 27,000 lines is the largest file, and it splits them. This is done so that the LLM prompt doesn't get overloaded. It had to optimize the prompt so that the definition of each field corresponds to the values that were given in the eval, and then it iterated just once, and it just defines what it fixed. Let's actually take a look to make sure that what it created makes sense. We're going to now go into the home directory, and now there is the extract.py file. Let's take a look. And let's do a quick check. The file itself is under 275 lines, and the main part of the file is not the main part, an important part is the extraction prompt, and I just read it to make sure it makes sense. So you have financial data extraction expert, extract financial values from the annual report for the most recent full fiscal year. So all of this sounds correct. Rules, all values must be in millions of the reporting currency. So this came from one of the mistakes. And it defines where to find the different fields, and it clarifies what that means, for example, for banks, whether to include or not include debt securities issued, and all of that it learned based on the examples in the eval. So some of this may not be too generic, but this looks roughly okay. So this all looks like a good first draft, if not more than that. And then the next step would be to apply it to a bigger golden eval, something that we didn't show it, and see how well it does on that. This is all. Thank you.